6. This is Erin Otis. She's a former judge who's now a death penalty prosecutor. If she looks familiar, it's because we exposed repeated misconduct in her courtroom, from cruel memes and emails to secret job talks with the county attorney, plus a lot more. Our investigation just led to a pretty big court ruling.
Yeah, the court calling those allegations of misconduct unprecedented and rare, but there's been almost no discipline. ABC15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobing looks into why.
First, let's talk about that big ruling. Basically, a man convicted of murder is filing a special appeal because of all that alleged misconduct. And as part of that appeal, he asked the court to disqualify every Maricopa County judge. And the top judge agreed, ruling that's the only fair thing to do. But the ruling is big for another reason. Experts say it highlights how the legal system failed to hold itself accountable. And they believe the failure was intentional because powerful people were involved. When Erin Otis was a judge, we uncovered she and her staff repeatedly mocked attorneys, jurors, witnesses, defendants, and pretty much everyone else in her courtroom. And we also uncovered, while presiding over this death penalty case, she was secretly talking with now County Attorney Rachel Mitchell before leaving the bench and taking a job at MCAO. And those are just two of the many findings in a new court order. Maricopa County's top judge writing, there's apparent support for an unprecedented number of ethical violations committed by then Judge Otis. He also wrote, some, but not all, of the allegations have been addressed by the State Bar of Arizona and the Arizona Commission of Judicial Conduct.
You know, it's almost like, hey, the State Bar and the Commission on Judicial Conduct, they really didn't get to the bottom of everything that happened here.
No, I don't think that they did.
I mean, what does that say about the way that we're holding judges and lawyers accountable, especially people in such positions of power?
It engenders mistrust.
Karen Clark is an attorney. She's got decades of experience handling legal misconduct cases. She's also connected to the Otis case, but we'll get to more on that later.
A system is only as good as the people in the system. And in my opinion, up to now, the system has failed.
The State Bar of Arizona investigates and disciplines attorneys. The Commission on Judicial Conduct investigates and disciplines judges. So let's start there. After a whistleblower internally came forward, the commission was given copies of the emails and memes, but we discovered they dismissed the complaint against Otis and scrubbed her name from the public finding. We also confirmed the commission didn't notify the State Bar when she left the bench in the middle of their investigation to become an MCAO prosecutor. And as for the State Bar, after seeing our investigation, they gave Otis an admonition for two things, the memes and emails and the secret job talks with MCAO. Now, an admonishment is the lowest level of discipline. It's basically a private piece of paper because it doesn't show up on her public profile.
The bar's admonition of Otis was inadequate and insufficient, in my view. Public has not been protected here. This prosecutor is continuing to appear on death penalty cases in Maricopa County. That's as serious as it gets.
Clark says the bar failed to fully investigate several other issues with Otis. Here's an example. This defendant has severe mental illness. He's accused of murdering his ex-wife in front of his kids, and he's refused public defenders, choosing to defend himself. Two defense attorneys were assigned to assist him, and they filed a special motion with the court after this hearing. They were alarmed because they felt it was one of several examples of Otis flirting with the defendant in order to manipulate him.
Thank you. You too. If I don't see you.
No,
well, I see you before then. Yeah. For sure.
Are trying to take me off the case.
At the time, Otis strongly denied anything improper, and MCAO aggressively defended their new death penalty prosecutor.
And what happened was the county attorney's office retaliated with a bar charge against them.
And that's how Clark got involved. MCAO filed a bar complaint against those two defense attorneys. Clark was hired to defend them, and that bar complaint was ultimately dismissed.
So you call that retaliation? You think that that was what that was, retaliation for daring to, report what's going on?
Yes, I absolutely do. You can't call it anything else. And I provided evidence to the State Bar in defending those two lawyers, including a witness who said that Otis told her that she was trying to befriend him and at the same time trying to put him to death. And she said, "Isn't that funny? He's even written me an apology letter for a motion that he filed." And she thought that that was funny. And the bar had that information. They didn't even talk to that lawyer.
Clark believes that the judge's order now puts pressure on the state bar to relook at Otis for the things that weren't fully addressed. And she believes it puts pressure on the bar to investigate others tied to the scandal. People like County Attorney Rachel Mitchell. See, the judge chose to include Mitchell's name in his ruling, laying out all of the alleged misconduct. Quote, prior to sentencing Mr. Hernandez, Otis reached out to Rachel Mitchell, the current Maricopa County attorney, via text message inquiring about job opportunities, specifically asking, "Anything over there I could do?" In her text messages, she specifically referenced working in the Capitol unit, the same unit prosecuting Mr. Hernandez at the time, unless a supervisory position within MCAO was available. Mitchell let Otis know she would inform Otis when the position was posted, so Otis could apply. That perhaps raises some appearance of impropriety and being too close to the bench. In our past reports, we pressed Mitchell about those text messages.
What I did was I informed her of what the new salary structure was because it
You didn't.
changed
That's
since
not.
she left.
That's not what the text message shows. You discuss specific jobs, bureau chief or capital. How do those sound to you? That's your text message.
I was simply giving her the salary structure, and the salary structure is dependent upon how, what jobs the person takes. So, no, I don't feel like anything was wrong in that. And again, as I said, the bar has fully investigated it. The Judicial Conduct Commission has investigated other things, and they've made the statement. And that is my statement in this matter.
Because of the judge's order, the county attorney's office just filed this response. MCAO wants the court to vacate, reconsider, and issue a new order without all of the allegations of misconduct. Their response also defends Otis and Mitchell by saying the allegations are either false, inflammatory, or not supported.
So there's been a long history of misconduct here that has not been brought to light, that has not been properly investigated, but based on this order that just issued, I hope that it is.
Now, what seems more and more likely is that Otis and probably other officials will have to take the stand and testify. And it's hard to predict what could happen from there, because as both a judge and prosecutor, Otis has touched a lot of cases. And all of this current legal drama is just because of one motion in one conviction. And we're told more are coming. I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC15, Arizona.
So what about the state bar? They're now taking a new look at all of this. Here's a statement, in fact, that they just sent to us. Based on the court's order, the state bar is currently considering whether there's a basis for additional review.